if we're doing outdoor weddings,
Sorry, I just decided to record so Abigail can see this. Go ahead.
I can send it too if needed, but especially if we're doing events out here and they become frequently, we don't want to, be too bothersome to our neighbor. Pavilion renovations basically include paint it to match the hall, refinish the bathrooms, refinish the floor, and install gutters, and also an under drain to capture stormwater, because right now the water just falls off the roof and right on. So if we had any kind of patio space, that'd get wrecked pretty quick. So there's some infrastructure we need to put in to make that viable.
So the pavilion as we know it right now is going to change pretty drastically. Is that what you're saying?
Now, phase one, it's like paint it, which is not much. Refinish the bathrooms, which means paint and floors. Refinish the floors is basically, like pressure washing and then applying they have these wet look sealers, concrete sealers that make it add some anti-skid to give it some traction. So it has a nice look. I don't know, Pete, similar to the look you guys would do with a Starbucks. I think you showed me a picture of that one time, but that's kind of what I have in mind. And then gutters along the perimeter that has patios, which is pretty much the whole thing.
Would the water issue be taken care of, like how it fills with water when there's rain? Like the water puddles in the middle of the pavilion when it rains.
Yes, it would help. It wouldn't completely solve it,
Okay.
because I think that's just actually it might do more than help. Because I guess that's
The
main,
rainwater will still get in there just from wind,
but a lot less of it will, right?
but maybe it wouldn't build up on the edges from overflow off the roof because of gutters. But it wouldn't stop all puddling.
Okay.
But if the water drains straight off the roof down the side and then the wind blows in, you kind of have all the water dripping there and then being blown in.
Okay.
Especially if you have those shade sails, it'll block a lot of it and take it away. And I think it'll help quite
Sounds
a
like
bit.
it'll help at least. Yeah. Obviously it's an issue, but it's also been a safety hazard also. Like for people walking through there when it's wet, it's brutal. I've seen numerous people, especially kids, slip and fall. So, but it sounds like with the refinishing of the floor, there'll be some type of grip too, possibly.
Yeah, and I think we talked about doing some kind of, I don't know if it's viable, but drilling through the concrete and putting in some drains.
Okay.
Matt, I don't know if that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think
Like
so.
basically,
But I don't think that the puddling areas are kind of in odd spots, right?
yeah.
Yeah, the main one's on the side. It's kind of the front side or the front.
Yeah.
end.
I mean,
I believe everything's fixable with a little bit of effort.
and the cement itself isn't that thick. All the thickness is in the beams, right? I remember we put a huge amount of concrete on the post, but not so much the floor itself.
It's 4 inches anyway.
Yeah, so it's not.
Yeah, could you just drill a core, put in a drain?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the undergrounds come through there. You just have to be careful where you drill.
Okay. Does that
You're saying just
conceptually-
drain to the gravel under the slab,
Yeah,
essentially? Yeah.
yeah, for the little bit that slips through?
yep.
Any other questions conceptually about what's shown here? All these gravel pathways would be finished. I don't know, the areas I added and included earlier this spring, it's that same kind of finish. It's a clean stone, but it's smaller, so it's nice to walk on, but it doesn't get stuck in your shoes so much. And then that would be edged with a thin plastic edging. What
Maybe-
else? All the
maybe
brown
go
areas
back-
are landscape areas.
You go back at some point and just show the wedding sanctuary thing, just for the sake of the tape.
Yes.
Anybody wants to see this?
Here's the rough, quick massing of the idea for the outdoor wedding area.
Again, we're just re-showing this for the sake of the tape, since I didn't start the tape at the start of the meeting. Okay, that's all I needed.
Do we have plans to do some type of storage, like if we're gonna have other types of chairs out here and like for the fabric? Is there any type of storage? Building? or
Yes. So I think what we're limited to now is what we have in the back of the pavilion, which there is capacity up above, like it's not super convenient to access it. But in the overall kind of master plan for the site, we do hope to move, like phase 2 of outdoor wedding areas, turn this into a bar, outdoor hangout area. Like that would be, soup it up next step level. You'd get rid of this back storage room or area room, or at least part of it, and then move.
Is the reason you're saying that for phase 2,
out
Daniel,
here.
because it's expensive? Because to me, that seems like right at the top of the priorities, getting that ugly background.
Yeah, I mean, Matt said that too. Mentioned that was an important thing to do, but it is, you essentially have to build another location, like a shed, maintenance shed, and then all the work associated with converting that space.
I wonder if we could go weird and buy 2 shipping containers. Put them on foundations, make them look a little contemporary, put them off in the woods.
Yeah, but
What's the dimensions of a shipping container?
8 feet by 8 feet by 40. Or 8 by 8 by 20.
if you could hide them,
People
The
make
way-
houses and storage units out of them all the time. Maybe there's some things to do, like by putting a pitched roof on it. That could make it look not more modern rather than like restoring junk. Anyway, that's just an idea that may not be a good idea.
Yeah, the mower would have to fit too. But yeah,
Yes.
I mean, that's just seems like quite a bit of work to customize a container. Like, I don't know how much cost you're actually saving and how much time, but I don't know, maybe it's, I mean, they did it at Brunstad. That's all the work containers, they're temporary, of course, but they're all half-size shipping units.
It wouldn't take any customization really, other than where it would sit on a base stone foundation.
Well, like, what are you gonna put stuff on, like you gotta need shelving, you need
Oh, yeah, you
stuff
would have to
put
build
stuff on
shelving. for-
and light, like you need either some kind of light, a door. I guess you don't need a door, you just have the opening.
maybe solar lighting, I don't know.
Yeah, you could. But yeah, so I thought that cost to accomplish what we want to accomplish here, that cost was too high to include in phase 1, especially seeing as we're already over budget. And so if you dress this up, updated it, painted it, and then this backside, you address basically the light fixtures, take away the hoses, and then you, I don't know, do something with the garage door, paint it or whatever, make it look nice. Then, I mean, the garage door is the biggest thing. But then this isn't so much of an eyesore, especially if you have these landscaped areas, these paths that are well defined, then this doesn't become so much of an eyesore. I think what you'd gain from it is having like an outdoor bar area and stuff like that. And
Yeah, just don't think it'd be nice for people going to a wedding, walking past, it looks like a storage area. I think it made it a significant part of the wedding outdoor atmosphere. I think that would mean very much personally.
I think like the only thing that's storage looking is the door. And I'm sure there are things that we could do with it to even temporarily hide it.
Okay,
It's a genius idea, though, that would be really good. Everything about this is so cost effective because it's using gravel, which is so cheap. So it's Daniel being really creative because this very same plan would be $150,000 more if we tried to do it with pavers. Right, Daniel?
Yes, exactly.
So it's a genius way to get something really functional for extremely cost effective in a cost effective way. And if you just look at our own events, just having those outdoor areas around that picnic pavilion, those walking areas would make our own picnics and events much more functional and great for fellowship and everything, let alone what it could mean for us for rentals.
yeah, totally agree with that. Make a big difference.
So is the gravel, like, can you walk in it with heels?
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit. I don't
Not that
know.
you that you would
That's
know.
not a me question.
Yeah.
Yes,
That is-
I can go give it a try, but I'm very confident anybody who suffers through wearing heels and can walk anyway in heels can walk on this.
It is definitely a good concern though, and I did consider, if you paved all the paths, I mean, but you basically pave this path and then this path back to the wedding area. But then, where everyone sits is kind of important. Like if you're just gonna walk on a paved path and then, walk on dirt and grass to get to your seat, then that's not saving you any trouble, or at least, I don't know, maybe it is. But so the other option, instead of just like normal grass, you could do artificial turf eventually. Like, of course, it's expensive and would raise costs, but for phase 2, having paved paths and then artificial turf would make the outdoor experience doable in high heels, at least in my mind.
It just seems like we've had people walk in mud in high heels and walk on less well manicured stone in high heels. It seems like since we've done that so many times, this can only be a little bit of an improvement on top of that.
But I think gravel's trickier than like walking on the grass.
Even wet grass.
And wet grass? Well, not soft ground. No, it's just, I don't know. Is the aisle going up? Is that going to be gravel as well? Or
Yeah, as shown and estimated, yeah.
like,
That's-
I don't know. It might be worth, I don't know, testing it out or trying it, because it could be that it's tricky to walk on heels. Like it's okay to do it on like hard dirt.
So already the gravel, they already walk on gravel. I've walked on gravel many times. And on grass. So in that way, I don't know if it's much of a difference, right?
Where have they walked on gravel,
From the meeting hall
coming
back to the
from
pavilion,
to-
back into the woods.
but not down the
I go
aisle?
on the grassy part. Like
What's that?
Like when I walk in with heels, like from the meeting hall to the pavilion, I go on the grassy part, not the gravel.
Oh,
And I agree with that. And the
Sorry.
thing is that you do, going down an aisle in gravel, like, that could be challenging. I mean, it is an outdoor space, so hopefully people would maybe not be always in heels, but I think it, like Martha said,
let's test it.
could
Let's test it. Let's
be something.
literally get people out there and see.
No, I think
Yep.
I think it probably is a good idea to test it.
I think it's wise too.
Isn't the
can
fineness of
test
the
it.
gravel, isn't the fineness of the gravel a big thing too? If the gravel's really fine, can it be a lot more smooth and cement-like?
Yeah, I mean, it could depend. Yeah, it could depend on how fine it is. That it could be easier or worse, or it could be
I mean,
worse.
the big stuff behind the meeting hall is horrible.
And stone dust would pack better, but it's like Daniel was saying, it sticks to the shoes and gets tracked.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. The place to test it would be basically from along the playground back to Matt's house. That's the same finish that I'm proposing here.
There is some
So-
existing there.
Yeah,
Okay.
Wouldn't be
And
hard
I-
to get 15 girls out there in heels.
Yep. Some
I
less,
agree.
some less coordinated than others. No, I'm just joking. I'm
Well,
clumsy
even
out
and
there.
even some older friend, like older women, because like you got the mother of the bride and stuff like that. So it's definitely, I wouldn't do just young girls. And just see what the opinion is, or
Is it just Daniel?
who was that? So would it be better to, I don't know, I guess it depends on how it's tested, but even for this first phase, to leave the aisle at least as just grass and not define it, or define it in another way? Or increase budget and put pavers down or concrete?
I think we should test it first before we decide.
Who wants to do that? Take that effort on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can if you need me to. I can try to get some girls together or ladies together. So
Put a
it's
few
the-
bags of Portland cement on it and till it in.
what was that?
So you dump a few bags of Portland cement on the stone dust and till it in.
Not a bad idea.
Soil
And then
stabilization.
Also would need to find where to get stone dust. But that can be arranged.
I have a little announcement here. I just set this Zoom up today with my I just got a note saying meeting ends in 5 minutes. And I'm trying to upgrade to Pro where you get more time. But if we phase out, I will see if I can just start a new meeting.
Can I ask a few questions then right away that come to my mind?
Yep.
To me, there's a couple points. There's a need for fundraising for the young people. And when we originally talked about doing this, we said, I thought it was, approximate $30-some thousand budget for material. Or maybe I'm wrong. Ignore my numbers. But maybe we could also allocate or seek donations from the older friends to fund the labor side for the young people. And there's a real need for fundraising for young people, and this project meets a real need for our own uses and for rentals. The only question that comes, so it's a no-brainer, it's an awesome project, and if we had money, we should do it right away, and from my opinion, the only question I had was, did the purchase of the screen impact the free money from available that was originally allocated for this?
No,
Or are we taking from like our liquidity or from some other areas?
no, we're not. And
And if we're not, I don't have any say in whether we do it or not, but from speaking from an action side, there's a huge need for a project to dive into that we can fund that has fundraising hours for the young people. And I love allocating time to this. It'd be probably one of the funnest projects we've had in the last 10 years in our band.
good point.
I agree with that.
Does it have to be completed like a certain time, like before the winter, or does it not matter?
Yeah, anytime you're working with the ground, you want to do it before the ground freezes. Otherwise, you have to do a ton of work to keep working. So ideally, this calendar year, I think by December, it'll start freezing up, I think.
I think ideally immediately for the youth and also ideally immediately for rentals because it is so marketable for garnering more events for next year. So theoretically, we don't need this done now. We physically need this to be completed by, let's say, April of next year for use by our renters. But from a marketing perspective, whatever we can complete and add to our website and create marketing documents with right now, it means we might close some more deals. So for two reasons, it's wise to do it immediate if we can.
And so of that phase one that I went through here, total comes out to 35,000 rounding up and 38,000 with 10% contingency. So that's, 8 grand above target. And then 1.2, you see, I can go through some of those items real quick, but that comes out to 13.6 with contingency.
Can the materials be gotten quickly, or is it stuff that could be delayed? Meaning, like, can we start the project right away?
Yeah, like we
Yeah.
could start probably, not this weekend, but next weekend.
Okay. And the materials are available. Like, there's no.
Yeah, I think I could get it just about everything, at least for phase one.
cool.
Can I comment on one
Um,
thing too, about real quick before we go off? I wondered about the 035 doing a 1-day cash drive to support the labor side of this. Because if we could bring an additional 10 grand or so to support the labor pools, to boost whatever our cash is available from the board, it could really reinforce doing this as a fundraiser.
One thing on the timing of that is we're probably gonna announce tomorrow the mission collection. So I have to wait a month.
Yeah. When's the mission feast?
It's 24
It's-
days. something like that.
Yeah, 24 days.
And we need funds for the children's program next year. So we were going to do a collection for that as well.
For what, Martha?
The children's program next year, and we're probably going to need it probably around 10,000. So
Is there anything else? Now, I have sent another meeting out if we need more time. We have 3 minutes left according to my clock here. And then if we need more time, like I said, about 30 seconds, I'll ask. And I've set another meeting out, the link to everybody. And we can just start that meeting.
I can go through the 1.1, the alternate stuff too, if no one else has anything.
Two and a half minutes left on this meeting. I can start another one virtually instantly after, I hope.
yeah, you should be able to. That's happened to me before.
Okay, go ahead, Daniel.
Okay, I'll start, and then when it cuts me off, we'll just jump on and you can catch up. Okay, so first of all, lighting for basketball, and then a new proposed grass volleyball court right next to it. We've been talking about doing lighting for years and years. It's never happened. No one's ever done it. So like, it's very doable. Can do it quick. Just need the money there. So like, that's something that's priority number one. New volleyball court right next to it. The volleyball courts that we have existing are great. They're useful. They don't get used too much though because they're so far away from everything. So moving that one volleyball court next to the basketball court, and having it lit, I think will activate that space much better. Also, especially for the senior friends, they don't have so much to do. There's areas to sit and of course and talk, but some activities for them would be horseshoes, bocce court, proper bocce court, cornhole, things like that. So it also includes seating. There's a huge need for site furniture and seating. As you could tell from the 50th feast, we were sitting on hay bales. So there's some included in phase one, but also more included in the alternate. Additional landscape beds, this backside between the basketball court and the meeting hall looks terrible. So this would refinish the gravel to get some of the finer gravel, and then a little bit more coarse to save costs, and then landscape beds along that wall of the sanctuary. So when you look out during the meetings and the windows are open, it doesn't look like crap, looks presentable and still lets fresh light in. Let's see. This would, put in a stormwater drainage area here earlier to redirect the stormwater from the parking lot, which helped, but it still needs some regrading along the swale such that the parking or the soccer field doesn't flood. Often the spring and fall gets so wet that it's hard to play on. So just regrading some of this area here would fix that issue. And then let's see. I think that's most of it. Yeah, so that was most of what's included in that alternate, go to the cost estimate.